Hello, and you're listening to It Is All About Sports Podcast. I'm Scott, your host again this week, and today we'll be talking a little bit about the Super Bowl, a little bit about the Fins, and a little bit about NASCAR. Today's January 25th on a Saturday afternoon. I'm sitting here looking out the window of my office, and the snow is coming down. We've had probably a foot of snow up here this week, and I've got plans to go out tonight to a friend's house, and I guess I'm going to have to dig the driveway out again. It's about a 60-foot driveway, two-car driveway, so that's quite a lot of digging. Anyway, I miss Florida. I wish I was still living there. Maybe I could convince my wife to buy a place down in West Palm next year is what I'm hoping for. Anyway, like I said, this week we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl, a little bit about the Fins. So we'll just start off with the Fins here a little bit. Every time around this year, I start thinking about the Dolphins, when the last time they were in the Super Bowl. And it's been so long. It's been 41 years since they've won a Super Bowl. And, most of us Fins fans know that. Some of the younger ones may not realize how long it's really been, but it's been 41 years. And when you look at it, one of the reasons why I think that they've got away from being a physical team. And, this week we have an article coming out on our website about Larry Csonka. And, back in the days when they used to actually win the Super Bowl, they had a power running game, and he was part of that. He was, a big part of that, really a big reason. I mean, you had your Mercury Morris and you had your Jim Kick, who were also good runners as well. But Csonka was the one that put the hurt on you. And he really lowered the boom. He once said in his article, or not in his article, excuse me, he once said to a reporter that he can't run around him, so he might as well run through him. That's one of his famous lines from the early 70s. So, that's what we're going to be talking about. And I hope you enjoy the show this week. If you have any comments, leave a comment below. Csonka, as I said, was one of my favorite Dolphins of all time. And the Dolphins, sure could use someone like him today. Their physical play is really haven't been that physical as of late. The defense has been physical mostly for the last 10 years or so, but the offense, not really, not so much. When you had Ricky and Ronnie, they had a little something going on, but now they got this kind of running backs that just kind of go down if you barely touch them. So, speaking of power running backs, how about Marshawn Lynch and the Seattle Seahawks? I mean, is it a coincidence they have a power running game and they're playing in the Super Bowl this Sunday? I don't think so. I think this kind of football, this power running game, smash mouth football, I think is what the Dolphins really need to get back to. This little dink and dunk West Coast stuff makes me really want to throw up. I'm so sick of seeing the 5 wide and you throw a 1 yard pass and you get tackled. It just really, really makes me sick. I'm thinking, the power running game really, it's just all about just beating the guy in front of you. You just get off the ball, you just hit somebody. Be really physical with them, smash somebody in the mouth. And take the fight to them. I mean, this is what the '70s Dolphins teams used to do, and I think this team, the current team, sure could use a lesson from that. Okay, now on to the Super Bowl. When the Seattle Seahawks get together with their old rival from the AFC West days and the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 48. The game will be a contrast between the experienced quarterback and the young and upcomer. With the Broncos, you get Manning, a 2-decade-long veteran of playing in big games. He has played in 2 Super Bowls, winning 1, several AFC playoff games, countless big games in the regular season, even a national championship game in the Orange Bowl in his last college game. The Super Bowl is hardly just another day at the office, but if there was a player who would look at it that way, it would be Manning. He's as cool as the site of this year's Super Bowl. MetLife Stadium in New York will be at the kickoff. He's a coach on the field, and he reads defenses at the line of scrimmage and audibles nearly on every play. The easiest job in football has to be whoever the offensive coordinator is on Manning's teams. He doesn't even really need to be there at all. Some have said that if the Broncos win this game, that Manning will go down as the greatest quarterback of all time. That's probably a matter of debate, but I would have to give it to him. He would still, even though he still trailed Joe Montana, Terry Bradshaw, Tom Brady, Troy Aikman when it comes to rings. I mean, when you look at the numbers that he puts up over his career, I mean, it just overshadows anything those guys have ever done. Okay, but a loss in this game would hurt his legacy as well. If he never gets back this far, he would leave the game 1-2 in Super Bowls and would be second in his own family in rings. Eli Manning has already won 2 Super Bowls and still has a lot of playing time left. Manning has overcome one of his kryptonites, though, when he carved up Belichick and the Patriots for over 400 yards in the AFC Championship game last Sunday. Belichick had owned a 10-5 record against Manning in his career, but now Manning is 2-1 in AFC Championships against them. Thank you, Peyton Manning, because I hate the Patriots. The Seahawks bring in young Russell Wilson to the Super Bowl. Wilson, who was a bit overshadowed by Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin and all the other quarterbacks that were drafted ahead of him. But look where he's at. He's in the Super Bowl. Everyone knows Wilson now, though, and he's short for an NFL quarterback, barely 6 foot tall. But he's quick on his feet, and he has an accurate arm. He can also get the ball deep and still get it to the spot that he wants to throw it to. Most of us would give the edge to the guy with the big game experience in this situation, but in Wilson's case, don't be so sure. Nothing seems to rattle him at all. The Seahawks bring in the number 1 defense in the NFL as they try to stop Peyton Manning and the number 1 offense. Will Manning be able to burn the Seahawks corner, Richard Sherman, who's probably the best cornerback in the league, and you just have to ask him and he'll tell you. He caused quite a stir this week after the NFC Championship game after he told everybody they had no business throwing the ball in his direction. While he might rub a lot of people the wrong way, he was correct. He made a play at the end of the game to win the game, and with only 22 seconds left. Cornerback is probably the toughest position to play on defense. It probably helps to have a guy out there who thinks he's invincible. It will be interesting to see what he has to say about Manning in the week leading up to the game. It will be more interesting to see what Manning has to say after the game. Dolphins sure could use somebody like him. I know that he does rub a lot of people the wrong way, and he does have a loud mouth and everything, but he's a hell of a player, and he's fiery too, and that is something the Dolphins definitely could use. So our pick this week, we're going to be taking the Broncos. I'll be back at the end of the week on my YouTube channel to give you a little bit more of a breakdown and a score. But till then, we get on to NASCAR next. If you're a Florida resident and a sports fan, then you know the calendar falls. When the calendar falls, NASCAR crowns a champion in November at Homestead. Then we have Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and all the football you can watch. And then the Super Bowl ends and it's time for Speed Weeks at Daytona. Unlike the Super Bowl, which bounces around the country and nobody but corporate bigwigs can attend the Super Bowl, the NASCAR stays in the Sunshine State every year. The first takes of Speed Weeks is the weekend when the sports cars take to the track. A Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona. That's a fun event for those fans who just need an excuse to go to the speedway and get rowdy and hear some cars going really fast. Usually there are a few NASCAR guys in the race to pull for too. But then we get a week to watch the Super Bowl, and after that it's time for the real race cars to take the track. These guys don't run in the infield either. On Saturday evening following the Super Bowl, we get a 75-lap non-points race called I don't know what they call it anymore. It used to be called the Busch Clash, then it was called the Bud Shootout and the Budweiser Shootout, and then last year it was called some stupid name nobody liked, but whatever they called it was the first time we see the Sprint Cup stars in their new rides. Every year we get drivers that swap teams, and in 2014 it's no exception. This year Ryan Newman is no longer driving for Stewart Haas, and he's now driving for Richard Childress. Kevin Harvick is now driving with Stewart Haas. Joining Harvick and Tony Stewart will be Kurt Busch, who had a great run in his underfunded 51 car from a year ago. These three contenders look for a big year from this team. Speaking of the number 51 car, Martin Truex takes over that ride. Truex was the unfortunate bystander in a Michael Waltrip racing fiasco at Richmond last season. With the fines imposed and the other restrictions the team will deal with in 2014, Truex is probably well glad he's rid of that mess. Jimmy Johnson and the 48 team come to Daytona as defending champions of not only the Daytona 500 but also the Sprint Cup. If he wins another 500, the rest of the teams may immediately go into here we go again mode. None of them will throw in the towel after just one race, but if they're being honest, they will tell you that they can't win the race. They'd be happy with anybody other than number 48 winning it. Rick Hendrick Racing gets a lot of love from the fans and the media, and it's well deserved. They've won a lot of races and a lot of championships through the years. But take away the 48 car, and they really haven't known too much success in recent years. Casey Kane has been their second best driver as far as getting checkered flags. Jeff Gordon has been winning once in a while for the last 5 or 6 years, and Dale Jr.
is one of those every other year kind of guys. For the two guys who usually make the chase, you think they would find victory lane a bit more often. How much would a Daytona 500 win do for one of these guys' confidence? Matt Kenseth is a guy to watch at Daytona. He has won the 500 twice in recent years, and it almost seems like he's done this without even being noticed. One of his wins was a rain-shortened, and the other one was a Monday night, Tuesday morning late race. Maybe he can win a 200 lapper in a Sunday afternoon this time. If he does, he will also instantly be vaulted into Daytona royalty. Very few drivers have 3 500 trophies, Daytona 500 trophies. But the guy who really needs to win in this race is Tony Stewart. He's fast becoming a new Dale Earnhardt of Daytona. The Intimidator spent most of his life taking checkers at Daytona, but never in the big one. He finally got one in his 20th try, and it turned out to be his only one. Like the Big E, Stewart seems to win all the races at Daytona. He is almost a sure bet to win a 300-mile nationwide race on Saturday. He's won that race 7 times in the last 9 years. The man in black has also won the event 7 times, including 5 in a row at one point. One more year without a 500 win, and that gorilla on Stewart's back will gain more than 100 pounds. Okay, that's all we have for this week. I'm Scott. It is all about sports, and we're still going solo until we get our tech feed under us, but we do have improvements coming to our website as well as to this podcast. We're going to have some music added here and there, and maybe even a few commercials added into the web radio. You can check us out next time. Till then, I'm out. Leave a comment below. Check us out on our YouTube channel. Thanks for listening.